Hello and welcome to In Touch with Durham County. I'm Deborah Craig Ray, Chief Communications Officer. I'm joined by County Commission Chairman Brenda Howerton, who is a co-host on our show.
Good morning, Deborah, and it's such a pleasure to be here with you today. I'm excited about the show today.
We're going to have a great show.
Yes.
As you know, we use this program to share information about programs and services of Durham County government. Mayors for Guaranteed Income was founded in 2020 as a pilot program by the former mayor of Stockton, California, Michael Tubbs. MGI has grown to include 100 mayors and our own city of Durham. Building off the success of that program, the official launch of the Counties for Guaranteed Income was held earlier this year at the White House, and Durham County, of course, was a founding member. Chair Howerton and Commissioner Nida Allam are founding members. So we're here today dedicating our entire show to a discussion about Counties for Guaranteed Income. The program we're calling here in Durham County, DCo Thrives. The program will give direct recurring cash payments to eligible citizens once it's completely up and running. In our first segment, we will share information about the program and explain how Durham County became one of the founding members. In our second segment, we will speak with our county manager, Dr. Kimberly Sowell, about the great work her administration has done to make sure we implement this program for our eligible residents. Welcome, Commissioner Allam. We're delighted to have you with us today.
Thank you so much, Deborah and Chair Howerton, for having me. I'm really excited for this conversation.
We've had you on the show, but this is first time in the studio, right?
Yes, and I'm really excited that this is going to be our first conversation in the studio and to not be virtual anymore.
Yes, yes. Chair Howerton, let's begin our conversation.
Well, thank you, Deborah. I am so glad to be here with my colleague, Commissioner Allam, and talk about guaranteed income. This is the coalition of commissioners across the country, and this is something that we were so committed to and so excited about. So, Commissioner Allam, I'd like for you to tell us a little bit about how did we get started, and what do you think of guaranteed income?
Yeah. I first heard about the guaranteed income programs, the Mayors for a Guaranteed Income, through our own Durham City Council, when they started the program here and started having the focus on formerly incarcerated individuals. And I was really excited to hear that there was going to be a model now on the county side. And I'm really grateful to our former early childhood coordinator, Kate Lander, who reached out to me and let me know that Durham was on the minds of the Counties for a Guaranteed Income leaders and staff, and they were interested in Chair Howerton and myself to be pioneering members as founding members to bring it to Durham County.
Yeah, and Commissioner Allam, what's so interesting, Deborah, is that this conversation is so broad. And when I had just gotten a call from the president in Chicago talking about the same issue. So this issue is a broad issue. Mm-hmm. And when I heard that it's already being discussed in Durham County, we were just like, yeah, we're ready to go to D.C. and have this conversation. Deborah, I recall that, there are, NACO, National Association of Counties, Commissioner Allam and I went to D.C. and were in the first, 17 states that began to roll this out. Commissioner Allam, you want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, it was really great to be able to come together with county commissioners from all across the country to see how we all have these shared values and wanting to help our families. And also seeing this isn't just an issue that's impacting Durham County residents. This is something that's very broad, impacting families and especially our young kids all across the country, and how we're able to impact by creating programs like the Guaranteed Income to have that early intervention to provide support that will have long-lasting impacts on families as they grow up.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So who were some of the other counties that were the pioneering members?
Yeah, as Chair Howerton mentioned, Cook County in Illinois is one of the main founding members, with President Perry Winkle leading the way. We also have commissioners in Montgomery, Maryland, and Los Angeles County. And so we have folks from all parts of the country. We have the Midwest, the West, the East. So we're covering all of this country.
There's Ramsey County, Georgia.
DeKalb.
Yeah. So commissioners are really taking on this conversation out of poverty.
Yeah.
Child poverty is so vital right now.
Yeah, so I've heard that many are describing this program as helping communities go from just surviving to thriving. Would you agree with that assessment?
Absolutely. We know that a majority of families here in America are one financial emergency away from financial ruin. And that can be something as small as their car breaking down, having a medical emergency, or just a house bill coming up. And we shouldn't have our residents living like this, having to live paycheck to paycheck and having to decide between paying a medical bill or putting food on their kids' tables. And that's why programs like the Guaranteed Income and Child Tax Credits have real impacts on the day-to-day lives of individuals.
Yeah, and when we talk about I was so excited that the title is DCo Thrive. That's when you talk about Thrive. I became the president of the North Carolina State Association of Counties. And as I became president, we all took on an initiative. Each president was able to name their initiative. And my initiative was Thrive. And Thrive for me meant that all children thrive, all 100 counties. And children can't thrive if their parents don't have income, if they don't have a decent house to live in, if they don't have the necessities. So to name this a pilot program, Thrive, I'm just, what can I say? I'm just excited.
Yeah, well, it is really fantastic. Now, I understand that, some elected officials are calling this program similar to the New Deal. And if you know your history, former President Roosevelt came up with the New Deal. It was a program to help our low-income and struggling families get some relief when they were unemployed. We have Social Security that survived that program still operating today. Would you consider this sort of a new deal for this time?
I think it's definitely a program that is very needed and necessary. And, with the New Deal, it helped so many families that were struggling, so many families that were being impacted by past government decisions. And that's what we're seeing right now as well, is we're seeing that at the federal level, at the state level, at the local level, that our residents are being impacted by the decisions around taxes. They're being impacted by decisions about rising housing costs, about medication costs. And so for us to step up and say that we want to make sure that we don't create more systemic problems for our most marginalized, for our lowest income residents is a really big deal. And for the fact that we're starting this at the local level, it's setting an example for our federal legislators that if the local level leaders can do this, they need to step up and help our residents as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, income insecurity, and whether it's wealth, whether it's food insecurity, all those things are so vital to just having people have a decent living.
Yes.
So this is not something new that it's just we're naming it something new. But we've undertaken so many initiatives that helps the economic insecurity of our families, and to be able to take on one more, all the way back to Martin Luther King. There were things that we undertook to help with the insecurity of families. So I just believe that this is one of those things that it extends King's legacy.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Now, I know that some of these programs vary across the country. I mean, I think I heard that LA maybe gives $1,000 in their pilot program, and I think Cook County maybe gives $500 in their program. How did we come up with our level, and what is it?
We came up with, our board unanimously supported wanting to provide residents with a $750 a month stipend with the opportunity to get an additional $100 if they participate through the surveys for us to actually collect data and see how this program is benefiting individuals, so up to potentially $850. And we came to that number because we looked at what other cities and counties are doing, and with the city of Durham, their program was $500 a month, and we wanted to go an extra step further.
Yeah.
Because, Durham loves to be first, and then our Board of Commissioners likes to always go the extra step. And we decided to do that additional $250 because we're talking about families, and we're talking about people with young children, and they're going to need that little extra bump. And $750, it's very impactful for families, but it's not such a significant amount that we're going to see individuals just quitting their jobs and not working anymore. The fact that we're giving this amount, it means that parents will be able to actually be home with their kids. They won't have to work that second or third extra job maybe, because they're able to be at home with their kids, help them with their homework, cook them a home-cooked meal, and that time is invaluable that we're going to be able to bring for our families in addition to that financial amount as well.
And Deborah, raising children when you live on a very small income is very difficult. I raised 4 children as a single parent, and I worked 2 jobs, sometimes 3. To have had an extra $750 come into my household would have made a significant difference. Because when you raise boys, they never walk in the house without the first thing is nothing here to eat. So this board understands that if there's anything that we can do to support families, support our children, because kids are not, there's damage to our children when they don't have the right nourishment. They grow up trying to go to school and trying to learn and get a good education, but if they don't have the correct nourishment, it makes a difference.
Yes, it does.
In their learning. So we believe that this program, and it's not going to touch all the citizens in Durham, but it's a pilot. And that's what we really want our citizens to remember. This is a pilot, and it will be tested to see what else can be added, what needs to be taken away, all of that.
So we're about out of time. I mean, our time has really gone fast. If you could just add one thing about this new program, DCo Thrives, what would you say to our community?
I would say to our community, this program was created out of love. Your Board of County Commissioners is looking at our residents and hearing what individuals are facing every single day when we go out and we hear from single parents, children talking about, as Chair Howerton mentioned, going to school hungry, coming home not having the money to go and do laundry, not having money to get vital medicine. We have children going to school that their families can't afford insulin for their diabetes. And this program is going to have life-changing impacts for our residents. And I really hope, and I know with our board, that our board's going to be supportive to see this program grow. And I hope the community will continue to come and join us and wanting to see this program grow and supporting us as we support all of our Durham County residents being able to thrive.
Absolutely. Well, again, we just want to thank you so much for getting us started on this very important topic. And we certainly will have to have you back again.
Yeah, I just want to make one point that our American Rescue funds are being used for this. So we're not having to raise or use county dollars, tax dollars. We're using our American Rescue dollars, and that's make it even a lot easier for us to do this.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you,
Well,
Deborah.
we've had a great segment, and we're going to take a break. And when we return, we will welcome our Durham County Manager, Dr. Kimberly Sowell. We'll continue our conversation on counties for guaranteed income. Stay with us. We'll see you on the other side.
When an emergency strikes in Durham County, do you know what to do? Receive critical, time-sensitive information straight to your device with Alert Durham.
Alert Durham provides you with critical information quickly for incidents like severe weather, hazardous materials, evacuations, and more. You can even choose the type of alerts you want to receive and how you want to receive them. Just go to alertdurham.com to register quickly and easily. Stay alert, stay informed, stay safe with Alert Durham.
Welcome back to In Touch. We are here with our county manager, Dr. Kimberly Sowell. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I am absolutely thrilled to be here to discuss such an exciting program.
And this is your first time in the studio.
It is my first time with you. It was virtual, so I love the feel and the ambiance of being here in person with you.
Awesome. Well, we're just so glad to have you because, you've been here a little over a year and a half and you've done some amazing work. And we're here to talk about a great program today.
Yes. Looking forward to it.
Chair Howerton, let's begin.
Well, I'm just thrilled. Sometimes you make decisions, and I just think hiring this manager was one of the best things that we did. So, Madam Manager, I am so pleased at success that we've had over the last, a little over a year now?
It's been a year and a half. Yes.
So, and this issue around guaranteed income is so important to all of us, not just our board, but for the community. So, the first thing we do is we come to you.
And I appreciate that.
So when we come up with all these new things, that we come to our manager and say, can we do this? And then she looks back at us and go, give me time. So can you share a little bit about the staff's recommendation?
Sure. And let me just first say I'm just so appreciative to you and the commissioners for authorizing this program. We're very fortunate to have the Board of Commissioners that we have. It is apparent that you all lead with compassion, and so it is with that compassion that you brought this to us, and just feel that it would be extremely beneficial to our community. And so when you brought this and asked us to take a look at if it was something that we could implement, one of the first things that we always look for is the data that supports any initiative that we implement. And so I was pleased to know that the Grown in Durham had initiated the development of the Early Childhood Action Plan. And as a part of that action plan, they identified 5 focus areas by which to help implement that plan. And one of the areas was a basic income pilot. And so this is exactly what it was that you all wanted. This is called Counties for Guaranteed Income, but the root, foundation of it is a basic income pilot. And as a part of the plan that Grown in Durham rolled out, it talks about the need for families to have economic security in order for children to have good emotional well-being, physical well-being, and so part of those strategies, there were 58 strategies that they, recommended, but this is one specific strategy that our commissioners can, say that we made it a direct impact in implementing this strategy. And we are delighted to be able to offer this to the community.
Well, thank you so much. I'm thrilled. One of the things I'd love for you to share a little bit about was, the board voted to implement this. And there's going to be a rollout. So if you could talk a little bit about that and also talk about how is it going to roll out?
Okay, great. So now that the board has approved the resolution, we're now working on there needs to be a memorandum of understanding that has to be executed with the Counties for Guaranteed Income, because they will help to provide technical assistance and guidance for us as we, roll this out. They'll also help with the guiding our research and the data collection that will accompany the rollout of this program. And so we will be entering into a memorandum of understanding with counties for guaranteed income. We will also be looking to recruit for a program manager because this will take work and it will take a lot of work. And so we will need someone that can serve as a liaison, not only to residents who may have questions, but we will also look to select a third-party administrator, someone that will be responsible for marketing the program, for accepting applications for the program, reviewing the applications, and then also would be that point of contact with those who are ultimately selected as participants for the program. And so our program manager would be the liaison to whomever that third-party agency is. And we're also working on developing the RFP that will help us select that third-party administrator. And so there's a lot of work happening behind the scenes, so we're not quite ready to roll it out. I know people are excited about it. Once you all approved the resolution, we started getting questions, and people wanted to know, what do I need to do to apply? So we are working on some of those foundational pieces to make sure that once we launch the program, that we are fully ready to, accept the applications and make sure that we are maximizing the efforts so that this will be a successful pilot. It's a pilot, but we want it to be successful. Really pleased with how the city rolled out their program, and that was a successful pilot. And so we just want to follow suit to make sure that the residents, and you asked about how we would roll it out. So we will market to those families. We are looking for participants to be families with children who are 18 years of age and under. And one of the things that we looked at, one of the data points was between the years 2020 and 2022, the recipients of SNAP benefits increased by 35% during that time. And then also in working with our DSS staff, we asked them to look at those participants that received emergency rental assistance, and about over 60% of those that received that emergency rental assistance were at the 30% AMI threshold. And so we looked at that data and made the recommendation to you all that the eligibility should be families with children under the age of 18, and also families that are at the 30% AMI threshold. One of the other data points that our DSS staff noted was that families that are at the 30% AMI threshold probably will be able to receive the full amount, the full $750, without it impacting or it reducing any other benefits that they be right. So we can maximize the utilization of these funds for our families.
And thanks so much for mentioning that, because one of the things that people are concerned about is that accepting this $750 would impact what they're already getting, or they'd want to get that on top of what they're already getting. So just clarifying that is really great, because we want to make sure that our community understands what this really is. And the other thing that you mentioned is the data. I've had a few calls about how is this going to work? And what I've said to them is this is a pilot program, and it's going to take us a little while to get the data.
Yes. Yes.
Because we want to give them correct data.
Yes. And to that point, so you all also approved for us to provide a $100 stipend, not only to the participants that are receiving the $750, but we will also have a comparison group that we will ask to complete a survey. And so to pay for that and provide compensation for them in completing the survey, because let's just face it, I don't know about you all, but anytime someone asks me to do a survey, once you look at the number of questions that is, that will determine whether or not you complete it. Right. So we want to compensate people for taking the time to complete the survey. So we will pay $100 to the participants that are receiving the $750 as a part of the CGI program, but we will also pay $100 $700 to those who will be in the comparison group that will complete the survey. Completing the survey allows us to collect data on the impact that this additional $750 monthly payment is making. So we will collect baseline data about, the financial well-being and how do you feel, do you have financial challenges and how does it impact your stress level? How does it impact, does it create a lack of access to certain services? And as we progress through the program, we will be asking questions to assess, are you feeling better now about your financial well-being, about your emotional well-being? That's what that survey data will help us collect and determine. And then we will provide that information to our board as a means of helping you make an informed decision as to whether we continue the pilot or any changes or revisions that we would need to make to the program.
And that's great, because one of the questions is, well, after a year, will we continue it or not? And we won't know that until we get the data.
Right. And you all did allow, in the approval that you gave us, we did approve an additional amount, a higher amount, so that if you determine that you want to continue it beyond the first year, we have already approved the funding to do that.
Yeah. Great. So important is that we hope that this is going to be life-changing for our participating families. What will success look like?
Wow. Success, I think, will be kind of a multi-pronged set of facts. But one, if we get that survey data and you can see the progression of the feelings of families feeling like their well-being is improved, emotionally, physically, financially, that's success.
Yeah.
If we feel like we are helping to achieve the goals of our board, Durham County's tagline is Live, Grow, Thrive.
Right. Yes.
If we get that sense that people feel like they are able to thrive, that they are thriving now, that is success. But for me, I feel like we've been successful just to be able to pull the pieces together to be able to offer this program. It gives our residents hope. Oftentimes if people feel like, they're in a challenging financial situation and they can't see their way out, that they gain a feeling of hopelessness.
Yes.
Feel like us offering this program gives people hope, and that in itself is success. That is what our Board of Commissioners are here to do, to provide options to help meet the challenges and the needs of our residents.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, because when you say the hope, we want people to feel hopeful. And sometimes our folks don't feel hopeful. So thank you for mentioning that. I'm excited about it. I thank you for being here today and giving more information to our community so that we can ground this conversation as we go forward and be able to roll it out, because we have a rollout coming up pretty soon.
Yes.
And I'm excited about that, the screening. There will be a screening in November, and that will include the community. So thank you so much for being here. And thank you for being our manager.
Thank you for the opportunity. And after a year and a half, I am still smiling and I'm still loving being here in Durham County.
Well, again, we just want to thank you so much for joining us today, and we're just going to have you come back again to talk about some of the other wonderful programs that you're rolling out in Durham County, because they are many.
Great. I would be delighted to do so. Thank you.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. We've had a wonderful show today.
We have. Thank you, Deborah. This has been fun. I'm enjoying this.
I'm glad you're having fun. So you can tell me what you want to do next time.
I will. We'll talk about that a little bit later.
Well, I promise you it will be interesting and informative. Thank you very much for joining us today. Please join us next time for In Touch with Durham County. Cheers.